Hello everyone. So it's long since I've really actually recorded or done a vlog, mostly because of my masters. So I've been doing my masters in Germany and also working part-time as I do the masters, right? So combining roles in tech and studying has not been easy. A lot of demanding, so very demanding that is. And yeah, so I'm trying to resume bits by bits and just getting updated to the tech. But so the first thing that I can start with is for those who don't know me, I'm Brian. Yeah, mostly focused on the geospatial space. With mostly also doing software engineering, but mostly in the geographic information system space. I'm mostly into software engineering, doing backend, focusing on geodata. That is, and yeah. So what I want to cover today is that this article that I saw on Reddit, which is the death of a GIS guy, and it's quite interesting because it was written in 2011, so over 10 years, right? And the guy was kind of predicting the future, and it seems like most of his predictions are right, and that's what I'd like to share. It was kind of discussed in Reddit GIS a little bit, and now I'll just go through it and showcase my opinion, right? So let me see. Hopefully, I can keep it short, probably less than 10 minutes, right? Okay, I'll just share my screen because I'm using Zoom to do this recording, and I'll share my second screen. That is. So interestingly, this article here is. It was written by Benjamin Spalding, right? So it's you can see it's July 5th, 2011. So it's about the death of a GIS guy and what he kind of proposed 10 years ago, that is over 10 years ago in 2011, what GIS people kind of need to do to be able to survive the industry, right? And so the first, interestingly, the first advice here that he really advised was that the GIS guy needs to be well versed in relational databases, right? And so based on this, he was technically saying that datasets are getting larger and larger, which has been the case even for right now, right? We've got tons and massive of datasets for satellite of images. Right now, we've got tons of movements datasets because of mobile applications. And there are also tons of datasets from vehicles, right? And that kind of stuff. And all these datasets are mostly geodata, right? So definitely, yeah, I really advise the GIS guy will be good to understand relational database. Definitely mentions a lot of SQL, Oracle, Postgres, or Specialite. I'll definitely advise for Postgres with the PostGIS because that's like the one dominating and really solid. Unless you're working with an enterprise that company that already have got Oracle or SQL Server, but most people tend to use Postgres with the PostGIS on top, right? Or PostGIS. Yeah. Then another thing that I really recommended was that the GIS guy needs to be able to program. And this was, I said Python, C#, C++, SQL, pick your poison, no matter your daily workflow. Yeah, so technically, depending on industry, it can always determine. Right now, Python has really matured. Considering in 2011, I'm not sure if we had GeoPandas then. I don't think so. And there's now things like Dask, right? And there's also data formats like GeoParquet and such kind of stuff. Yeah, Python has really evolved over time, so I think it's really a solid pick. And also people who are still into statistical, I think R is a solid for those who like research. He hasn't mentioned it here. Depending on some companies, you might need to use Java, especially in Germany, for those in Germany. So depending on your locality. For C++, very few GIS people use this unless you're working in a like car navigation systems like working for BMW or BMW as Germans call it, or even drone and that kind of stuff, right? Or I also saw that, for example, like Amazon Redshift spatial. So the spatial component team is built with the C++. So they tend to look at C++ or C people, even Snowflake, right? So these data warehousing components, if you want to work with such kind of a team, you might need to know C++. SQL is usually standard. If you know spatial SQL and combining it to the spatial database, it will be good. Okay, so let's see. The GIS guy needs to know your spatial analysis. I think that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, some more, they usually need to know the usual union, intersects, Moran square, right? Moran one measures. This is a spatial autocorrelation, right? So such kind of things. Yeah, I will append this article on the video description for you to check. So another thing it says the GSK needs to know how to integrate web-based technologies into the GIS technology, right? So the GSK need to show value of their work. One of the quickest way to do this is share valuable data set. Yeah. So right now, yeah, there have been so many technologies for mapping, like being ESRI, Google, Open Layers. I think here maps have got also amazing stuff to do, right? There's the leaflet. This was, they didn't even mention Mapbox. So I think this was way before even Mapbox really grew. And so all this platform. But I won't really advise it if you're not interested in being a full stack or to develop the front end. But if you feel building things that deal with the user interface, it will be good. It's okay. But right now, there are so many technologies. So it will be good for a JS person to focus more on the backend because that's where most of the algorithms, it will be ideal to write most of the algorithms also for scaling, right? And then the front end guy usually does not need to be from a special background. Any computer science guy can do it, or someone who's really from bootcamp and really dedicated to know more. So it's kind of okay. Yeah. Then the GS guy needs to be a GS expert. And here what he talks about here, you need to know the understand rest and vector, right? Satellite imagery, those are usually rasters and things like point and polygons, those are vectors, right? Data editing, definitely. How projections impact analysis, right? Definitely projections is usually key, right? The Earth is usually not flat, but when presenting it on a computer screen, you usually need to make the Earth to be flat, right? So when one way usually distort something, be it a distance or angles or shape, and so you need to prioritize your analysis or whatever you are doing based on you need to choose the right map projections, right? Which is usually you need to also know about data. Yeah, I think that's quite clear. And yeah, you should also be able to train people. That's definitely if you can't explain things to in a layman way, definitely it means you don't understand it. Then the GS guy needs to continue to learn, right? That's usual. Like in any other tech field, things keep changing and coming up, and it will always be good to build up your skills, right? So, for example, we didn't even have way before. I think when this article was written, there were nothing like GeoPandas. There was no DAS, right? That is in Python. There so many things didn't exist, right? But now they are there, right? There is now even for people using R for data analysis, things like it was not a safe package. Right now it's a safe, right? Spatial indexing right now there is the Uber H3, the hexagonal spatial indexing, and among other things that have really been developed. So yeah, the world keeps changing, and more new advanced technologies keeps popping up to help us to solve our solutions, so to solve our problems, that is. And yeah, then I think this is the final one. The GIS guy needs to know that there is more to GIS than ESRI. Good non-quantum. Yeah, so most people have been, for people using ESRI software, I can say they're solid software, but to tend to lock yourself to only ESRI platform, right? And while there is open source software like QGIS, and even with the advancement in programming languages right now, you tend to find you will really do a lot of things with the open source and also with the PostGIS. You don't technically need to just depend on S3. And actually, no, not so many companies need this because they tend to also underutilize it. It's like I actually see some people having S3s like building having a Lamborghini, but are driving it at 100 kilometer per hour, right? So you're not fully using it. And you need to use the company's resources well, or your resources if you are a startup or starting your own business. And finally, just get needs to know how to make a map using a data feed from Twitter. Okay, this is just maybe for those days we were just showing it will be good to also understand to extract right data sets. And true, this is the case. Yeah, a lot of change, and I think this guy was so smart to really foresee the future. I can say he has nailed most of them, and it has come to pass. And it slightly relates to the article that I also wrote by myself, which was this that I wrote in 2020, which was the GIS professional need to know computer programming. And then I was I was having the GIS people into three categories: the tool users, the tool makers, and the GIS innovators. And I covered the details of what I mean by those three categories. So yeah, I think that's where the world is really heading and moving forward. And right now we do have roles like which are not there. The geospatial data scientist, the geospatial data engineer, and it keeps transitioning. So for you to just avoid being part of the death of the GIS guy, is definitely you need to yeah kind of follow these guidelines and also just build up yourself more and more, right? Because it's always about growth and changing. If you stick to the old ways of doing things, you might be wiped out. Yeah. Unless you're also using GIS as a tool, that's also another discussion. There's a difference between doing GIS as a tool versus GIS as a science. If it's a tool, just you are an environmentalist doing GIS for basic stuff. You really don't need to be so deep into the geospatial domain. But if you're using geospatial as a science and building innovative solution with it, right? You really need to build up yourself and know have great skills, right? Yeah. I think basically that's it, and yeah, that's the end of it. So see you next time. I'll try to do these videos often if whenever possible, but yeah, I'm still kind of held up, but I'll keep on trying. And then bye.